All right, ladies and gentlemen. Finally here. Good to see you, Cohagen. Good to see you, Ravi. Good to see you, Doan the Don. Even though you're currently watching Film Red, hi to you too. We are not going on break after this chapter. We're going on break for My Hero Academia, but we're not going on break for Jujutsu. So it's kind of a mix mash, but let's go ahead and get the formalities out of the way, shall we? Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here. I got that fresh cut. I had to get my hair cut because y'all know I like to keep my head shaved. But Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another One Piece chapter reaction and review. Last we left off, we saw more of the Straw Hats, get more futuristic looking clothes. Frankie got pants. We find out that Shaka the Good, which is one aspect of Vegapunk, has been in contact with Dragon, God knows how long. And it's just like, there's a whole bunch going on in the Egghead art right now. So let's go ahead and see today's chapter. Chapter 165. Ooh, and it's a color cover page, too. Oh, it's a color cover page of Film Red. Yo! And it shows all the Straw Hats. It shows Kobe. It shows all the members. It shows Helmeppo. And it shows all the members of the Red Hair Pirates, along with Katakuri and Oven in there. Everyone's in there. Shanks is on one side and Gear 5 Luffy is on the other with Ulti. I'm not going to say what she looks like because it pertains to the film itself, and well, I'll let you guys watch the film itself. So let's see today's chapter, chapter 165, 6 Vegapunks. And we get some narration here. Future Island Egghead, Labo Phase. And then it cuts to Brook and Zoro, who are talking. It's a government island. Who's gonna break them out if they get captured? And it just shows the Labo Phase, which is where all the, I want to say that's the bottom half. That's the bottom half of Egghead. But Zoro says, it's a government island. Who's gonna break them out if they get captured? And then Brook is saying, yo, that was my thought as well. Care for some tea? And then someone yells out, gentlemen! And it's Caribou! Caribou's just out now, and he's just chilling with Zoro. He's just out with Zoro and Brook right now. Gentlemen! You're still here?
Now, hold on just a sec, fellas. I know I said I'd take a ride to anywhere as long as I got off Wano, but not here! This is a government island!
And then Zoro just says, you helped our captain in Wano. Thanks. Get off now. And then Caribou is just like crying his eyes out, and he's thinking to himself,
you'll pay for this, mark my words!
Then we cut to the lab. We stopped at the lab at the last chapter. We stopped at the lab and we saw Shaka the Good speaking to Dragon. Now we're at the lab itself. And we hear Frankie go, whoa! And then Usopp is saying, the stairs are moving! And Nami says, the staircase is just growing out of the ground! And then Frankie says, hey, how does it work? What's powering it? And then Vegapunk Lilith says,
this island's power source is fire. Fire can be converted into all types of energy.
Are there lots of natural resources here?
I've long researched what can be burned for energy. I thought if only there were such a thing as undying flame, we could create our own sun.
Sun? And then it shows Lilith walking directly into a wall. And it's like a doorway. But it's not really a doorway, it's a hologram. What? You walked into the wall! And then a voice is calling out, Lilith! Lilith!
Ow! Hey, open up!
And then it has Sanji going, Lilith, sweetie! And then Lilith goes, what are you doing? Walk through, ignore your eyes. And then the voice who's talking to her doesn't say anything as she goes, what is it, Edison? And then Sanji sticks his head through the door, and it turns out that it's just a hologram. It's a hologram. The Straw Hats have never seen anything like this. This is this is beyond their anything they could have thought of. Like, they weren't kidding when they said Vegapunk was 500 years beyond humanity's current advancements. So, this is what happens when you take a pirate setting with old-timey settings and villages and stuff, and everyone gets around by boat and everything, but then you introduce a man who's basically operating in Cyberpunk 2077 levels of detail and stuff. Now it's meshed together. But Sanji pokes his head through and goes, huh? And then Robin walks through going, we passed through, but how? And then Usopp goes,
what the? Now we passed through it. Now that we passed through, it's a metal door.
So, it's not a hologram. It's not a hologram. It's a door that becomes, it's a door that can become tangible and intangible. Wait, what? How does that even work? Holograms, I'd understand. But for it to be able to, but for her to walk through it and then it becomes rock solid afterwards.
What the? Now that we passed through, it's a metal door.
And then Usopp is just going,
so how does that work?
And Frankie goes, so, this is the lab, huh? And Sanji says, the fair Lilith has vanished.
The fair Lilith has vanished. Where are you?
Just keep walking forward.
Huh? Who said that?
And then a voice says, just keep walking forward.
Huh? Who said that? I'm Vegapunk Edison. Glad you came. Keep going straight like I told you.
And then as they keep walking forward, Nami is going,
time to look for the treasure of the future.
What kind of treasure is that?
Like flowers made of jewels?
I don't get it. Are you a dreaming girl or a greedy old hag?
And Nami proceeds to beat up Usopp because of his comment.
Future kick!
And she kicks him. Huh?
Whoa, that's
Jinbei! Ah! Whoa! 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 Seraphim Jinbei! Oh! Oh! Seraphim Jinbei! We've seen Seraphim Mihawk, Seraphim Hancock, Seraphim Kuma, which is currently traveling with CP0, and now we got, all of the warlords. All of them. Now we have Seraphim Jinbei.
Huh? Whoa, what? Jinbei?
And Robin goes,
but doesn't he seem a little young? I don't think it's him.
Possibility one. It's Jinbei's son.
And then Nami says,
possibility two. Jinbei got turned into a child.
That's already happened, but that Jinbei's with Bonnie. And Sanji goes,
possibility three. It's just a look-alike. I mean, he's got wings, and he seems off in general. Hey, who are you?
And then Seraphim Jinbei doesn't say anything. He looks like Jinbei when he was a child. If y'all remember One Piece film Z, I believe it was, during the credits, it showed a lot of the major characters in their when they were children. And this is basically Jinbei, except his hair isn't black and it's white. And he has black wings and a flame on his back, just like King. And Frankie goes,
he looks like a child, but he's as big as Jinbei.
And then he goes,
I got a bad feeling about this. Possibility 4. It's a pacifista!
And then it shows this Seraphim Jinbei, hold his hand up and prepare to, he doesn't prepare. He just blasts in the direction of the Straw Hats. And everybody gets launched.
It was a setup! I knew the government wouldn't greet us with open arms!
And then it cuts to Nami as she spins out her climb attack as she goes,
meaning it's a clone soldier of Jinbei? Just because you're a child does mean I'll go easy on you.
Wait, just because you're a child does mean I'll go easy on you? And then Jinbei looks at her and starts Jinbei looks at her, and there's like a beep sound, and then he just dives through the... Yo! He dove through the floor as if it was water. I know whose power that is. And this shocks Nami as she goes,
Huh? He has powers? What does it mean?
We fighting, Nami. And then Zeus goes, we fighting, Nami? Wait, Zeus. And then Frankie, who recognizes it as well, because he fought this person, goes, hang on, I know that power. And then Jinbei comes up out of the ground and grabs onto Nami. This Seraphim Jinbei has the powers of Senor Pink from Dressrosa. How? How does he have the powers of Senor Pink? What? How does he have the powers of Senor Pink? But the Seraphim grabs Nami, who, lets go of Zeus and her climb attack, and Jinbei, this Seraphim Jinbei just glares at her. And then Sanji comes in with his super heated leg, and I'm guessing that this is him using Ifrit Jamba as Sanji screams, "It's death for you, even if you are Jinbei!" And then he kicks Seraphim Jinbei with Ifrit Jamba, causing him to fly back a far distance. Then Robin comes in with Gigante Fleur. They are using their most... Wow. This enemy is so strong, it's causing Robin to use her Gigante Fleur and causing Sanji to use his Ifrit Jamba. Right off the bat, right here. But Robin uses Gigante Fleur. Same as him. I won't let you get away with that. Yo, Robin is angry. I don't think I've ever seen Robin with anger veins on her face and shadows over her eyes. I don't think I've ever seen Robin this furious looking. She has the same look on her face that Hancock had when she started kicking everybody after Smoker manhandled Luffy back at the Paramount War. We have not seen Robin this furious looking before. As Robin angrily says, same as him. I won't let you get away with that. Sea Serpent Snapdragon. This is the same move that she used against Black Maria. And then Seraphim Jinbei sees this and dives under the ground. And she goes, spank, and tries to hit him. Then Jinbei gets up out of the ground and he scoops up some of the floor that's with him, and he starts to use Fishman. He's preparing to use Fishman Karate against Robin because he's directly in front of her immediately. And then Usopp goes,
he even uses Fishman Karate? Look out, Robin!
And then he shoots in the direction of Seraphim Jinbei with
Special Attack, Green Star, Skull Blast Grass!
And then he hits this version of Jinbei and goes,
even knowing it's not Jinbei, I don't feel great about this.
And then pair of hands comes up right behind him, and it's this Seraphim Jinbei that basically grabs onto Usopp.
Huh? He's gone.
Ah! And then he gets grabbed by this Jinbei. And then Sanji's going, Usopp! And then Frankie goes, I've got this one, Sanji. Usopp, don't move. Radical. Dodge that, shark. Beam! And then it shows a face looking at everything that's going on as an explosion happens. And this person goes,
whoa, he just shot a laser. Who is this guy? That was a close one. The Seraphim are still children. They're not ready for laser tests yet.
Oh, this little chibi small robotic figure is Dr. Vegapunk Edison the Thinker. So I gave him the wrong voice then. So this little dude is Vegapunk Edison.
That was a close one. The Seraphim are still children. They're not ready for laser tests yet.
And then it cuts to Lilith as she goes, as Lilith is with him going,
You can say that again. You know how do you have any idea how much a single seraphim costs? I ought to twist your heads off.
So evil.
I wasn't gonna go that far.
Eureka! I just thought of a new invention.
and then Edison just jets off going,
You wrap this up, Pythagoras. I gotta go draw plans. So busy. Come, I need your help, assist Tabby.
and it's like a cybernetic cat that follows after Edison. And then we have the introduction of Pythagoras, Dr. Vegapunk Pythagoras the Wise. You don't get fascinating battle data like this every day. This is once in a lifetime input. And then it shows Edison the Thinker just drawing up plans.
The ideas just keep flowing. You gotta do the eating for me, York.
Okay.
And it shows, I guess this is Dr. Vegapunk York? And it's like this, I don't know if it's a kid, but it's like a person who's just gorging themselves on food and she's just eating. More for York! Current BMI over 600. And then Pythagoras says, the Seraphim's attack patterns evolve as they grow. Does that mean that bloodline elements record an individual's experiences? A possible approach to the issues caused by the growth acceleration. Pulse BPM of 90. More green blood. Green blood? The Seraphim's attack patterns evolve as they grow. Does that mean that bloodline elements record an individual's experiences? So having the DNA of these individuals that get turned into Seraphim allows them to adapt and evolve and grow just as strongly as the originals. That's scary because the Seraphim are under the world government's control now. That's bad. And they're already massively powerful as children. And since they have like growth acceleration, it's not going to be long before they're fully grown. Imagine how strong they're going to be when they've reached adult size. This is how strong they are as children. Pulse BPM of 90. More green blood.
I need to use the bathroom, but
I need to use the bathroom, but I can't waste time. And then it shows Pythagoras has a robotic body? Because the head of him just comes out, and then it cuts to a bathroom, and then that same girl that was eating, who was massively fat, is walking out, and she's slim again. She goes, hey, and then she starts thinking about eating more food. And then it's showing the other Vegapunks. It's showing Edison. It's showing Pythagoras. And then it shows Atlas, who goes, digestion punch! And then this one girl, she's sleeping, going,
Sleepy.
That's York. That's York, the Force ESP EPS cycle of the day. And it's it's York. Dr. Vegapunk York the Greedy. And then it cuts to Edison as he goes,
take all the data to Pythagoras. Prep Edison's experiment to the 88th simulation room.
And then hold on. I gotta step away. I gotta turn the oven on. I'll be right back. All right, we're back. So we got introduced to Dr. Vegapunk York the Greedy, and we have Edison going,
Take all the data to Pythagoras. Prep
Edison's experiment to the 88th simulation room. And then we have a voice going, That's enough, Seraphim. Return.
Huh? I can't move.
Edison, Lilith, Pythagoras, I trust you are all satisfied now. And then Pythagoras goes, Oh, that's too bad. And then it cuts to Lilith going,
What's he think he's doing? He's ruining the best part.
and then Edison just goes,
Eureka!
and then it cuts to us being fully introduced to Dr. Vegapunk 1, Shaka the Good. I am Dr. Vegapunk Shaka. You must be the Straw Hat Crew. And then Sanji's going, Accurate, but why can't I pull these shoes off the floor? Dom's shoes are under the control of the laboratory's magnetic field at all times. Resistance, and then Robin goes, Resistance is futile, I take it. I cannot trust any pirates. We also met a woman, and then it cuts to Usopp going,
We also met a woman Vegapunk and heard an announcer Vegapunk.
Yes, I am also Vegapunk.
Am I Vegapunk?
And then Frankie just goes, No! And then Shaka goes, Does this island look like the future to you? And then it cuts to Frankie as he goes, The future? Between the Mecha Sea Beasts outside, the Vega Force 1, and the island's air systems, this place is the super future! Super! And then it cuts to Nami as she says,
And I've never seen a town that looks anything like this one.
and Frankie keeps going, as he says, I want to wander around and see everything, to learn what kind of tech you're packing. We don't gotta be enemies. Come on, Vega! And then Vegapunk said, and then Shaka goes, This place is the past. Wait a minute. Let me read this correctly. This place is the past. Huh? And then Frankie goes, huh? Then it cuts to Chopper, Luffy, and Bonnie as Chopper, because I'm not looking at the bottom panel yet. Luffy goes, Check it out, Chopper! This one ain't a hollow, it's real, solid metal!
Wow!
And then Bonnie goes, What is it? Did it used to move? And then Jinbei says, If it does, it's future tech, but it looks too old for that. And then Frankie goes, What do you mean the past? And then Shaka goes, If I told you that Egghead wasn't the only one. There was once a kingdom just as highly advanced as this that actually existed 900 years ago. Would you believe me? 900 years ago? Yo, is Shaka saying what I think he's saying? Is he talking about the era of the Void Century? Is he talking about the Void Century? Because it shows Luffy, Jinbei, Chopper, and Bonnie standing in front of a giant mech, but it's ancient, yet it's still futuristic. Hold on, I'm getting another call. My family needs me. But we need to talk about this. They're in front of a giant statue. We need to talk about this. Okay, first let me address everyone here. Ravi, Kohagen, Ogata-san, Neil, good to see you. Ozzy, Rocks. Oh boy, there's so many things that just got revealed in this chapter. Like, I don't know why. Okay, the thing that sticks out to me the most is, like, first, we see all of the Vegapunks. We see all of them. We see Edison, Pythagoras. We see York. We see basically all of them. All of them all at once. We even get, like, a glimpse of Atlas, who's, like, on her own someplace else. But she gets shown in this chapter, so we see all the Vegapunks. Then we get introduced to Shaka the Good formally, as he introduces himself to the Straw Hats. And Frankie is all like, hey, man, this place is majorly futuristic and everything, and this is amazing. But Shaka tells us, like, this place is old. Like he says, this place is the past. Basically, everything that has been shown to us is technology that came from 900 years ago. Let me say that again. The stuff that Vegapunk is messing with and building and everything, it's the same. It's basically the same as an ancient kingdom from 900 years ago in the Void Century. And that kingdom from back then was so advanced. It was so ahead of its time. It was literally centuries ahead of its time that Vegapunk uses this stuff that he considers from the past itself. 900 years ago. Not only are we capable of learning how devil fruits work during this arc, but we're also very capable of learning about the Void Century. The very thing that the world government doesn't want anyone to know about. So let me go through all your comments. You look 5 years younger. I know, I shaved my head and then I shaved my mustache a little bit. Yonko Commander moments with Zoro and Brook. Poor Caribou. D-Phase Technology. Swim Devil Fruit. Yeah, made it in time. Greetings and salutations, fellow Kyushu Knights. I've never heard of that. Senor Pink. Hey, Ozzy. R.I.P. Senior. We don't know if Senior's dead. Because this is Vegapunk, after all. If he was able to make an artificial devil fruit that could turn Momonosuke into basically give Momonosuke the same powers as Kaido, what's to stop him from making more artificial devil fruits that can give him the powers of other people? I think it's a cloned power, like how the old model pacifistas use Kizaru's lasers. Yeah, like I said, this is Vegapunk. He's able to take the devil fruit power of Kizaru and replicate it and put it into pacifistas, which is why they can shoot out laser blasts just like him. And it makes you wonder if other Seraphims have powers from other members of the Don Quixote family. God forbid if one of them have Sugar's power. Good God, we don't need another Dressrosa moment. Still yet to have a warlord versus their Seraphim counterpart. Robin is scary when she's angry, yet extremely sexy. She is. Shaking my head, Lilith still hasn't learned her lesson. Am I Vegapunk? Any Vegapunks in chat today? So the ancient kingdom was highly advanced in technology, which is why the world government was out to destroy it. In other words, future Egghead is actually the ancient kingdom. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Well, I think he says, like, this isn't the only Egghead, though. Because he says this isn't, if I told you that Egghead wasn't the only one. So, he's saying that Egghead wasn't the only highly advanced place like this. Wow. We could be learning about the Void Century in this arc. One of the biggest... Yo, one of the biggest mysteries of One Piece. One so shrouded in history that the world government has wiped away every single bit of evidence about it and has made sure to kill entire civilizations, including like the Ohara scholars and their entire island, razed to the ground simply because they were smart enough to be the only peoples in the world that could figure that thing out. The Void Century is something that has been shrouded in secrecy and mystery that no one knows about. Yet we got small tidbits, like Toko coming back from 800 years in the past, and all these other things, and it's like, this is insane. Let's go over the notes here. So, Caribou talks with Zoro and Brook on the Sunny and is told to leave by the former. Sanji's group clashes with the Seraphim unit. S-Shark. It's called S-Shark, not S-Shark. I thought it was stuttering, but it's called S-Shark. Seraphim Unit S-Shark, resembling Jinbei, until it was stopped by Shaka. The unit has a power similar to the Sui Sui no Mi, basically the Swim fruit. Yeah, basically the same Swim fruit that Senor Pink is able to use. Weren't there a lot of robots on the moon? Is that connected to the Void Century? We don't know. We don't know. Edison, Pythagoras, and York are introduced. Shaka reveals that the technology on Egghead are all attempts to replicate the lost technologies of the Void Century. Oh my goodness! Vegapunk is using old futuristic tech from 900 years ago! Vegapunk had... Yo, this changes everything. So not only is Vegapunk the smartest man in the world, he's the only one to try and replicate all this technology. All this stuff that Vegapunk is using. All this stuff that Vegapunk is using is technology from the Void Century. Every technological advancement. All these technological advancements that Vegapunk has issued into the world was him attempting to replicate the technology that comes from the Void Century. That's how advanced they were. To the point where no one but Vegapunk can make this stuff, or at least replicate it. Because in the last panel, it shows a giant robot from 900 years ago sitting in front of Luffy and company, rusted over time. Neil Johnson, I feel like you're right. That's what it is. I didn't want to outwardly say it because I just wanted to make sure, like, I hope this isn't what I think it is. So I guess her only purpose is just like to eat bunches of food, see how her body reacts, flush it out, and then sleep, and then repeat the process, not progress. But yeah, Jinbei and them are sitting in front of a super ancient robot from 900 years ago. This technology and everything that Vegapunk has ever made was his attempts at trying to replicate the technology from the Void Century itself. All these advancements, literally every significant scientific advance that comes from Vegapunk actually comes from the Void Century. So everything that's futuristic about One Piece is because of the Void Century itself. Wow. Shaka reveals that the technology on Egghead are all attempts to replicate the lost technologies of the Void Century. And Luffy's group encounters a gigantic mechanized robot that has been rusted to time. Wow. I don't even know how to process this information. No wonder Vegapunk is advanced before his time. He's a plagiarizer. So if all Vegapunks are connected, does that mean killing one will kill all of them? That would make CP0's job easier. I wouldn't say that they're all connected. They're just, I feel like they're aspects of the one big Vegapunk, who's called Stella by Lilith. So it makes me wonder, there is something on the top of my roof, but I can't get to it at the moment, and I've been looking at it periodically. I don't even know how that got in my room. It's like one of those little caterpillar things. It might be coming in here because it's cold outside. I'll get it later. But I don't even know how to process this information. We're about good artist copy, great artist steal. I don't even know how to process all this. We got, like, going through this, we see just how strong the Seraphim Pacifista Jinbei is, enough to get Sanji to use his Ifrit Jamba on him, and enough to get Robin so upset that she uses Gigante Flora on him. And they're only saved because Shaka steps in and tells him to stop. And then we get introduced to the other aspects of Vegapunk. We get introduced to Pythagoras, Edison, York. Then we finally see Shaka the Good, who's kind of dripped out when you think about it. He's got like the smoothest looking outfit out of everyone. He's got like this big hooded coat that is dual colored. He's got his hands in his pocket just chilling. He would fit in with Daft Punk, most definitely. That being said, it would be funny if they did make a Buggy Seraphim. We don't make clones of losers. I think that they have, the Seraphim have to be strong. They're not made automatically strong just by Vegapunk. They're strong off the bat because of the Lunarian data, but I doubt they do anything for Buggy. But one Vegapunk eats, sleeps, and uses the bathroom for them all, so doesn't that mean harming one would harm all? Are they connected, though? Mentally, they could be connected to, for like... Is that what that means? Wait, are they connected? Huh. I guess they are. That's odd. That's odd. Since Vegapunk knows that is... but one Vegapunk eats, sleeps, and poops for them all. And so doesn't that mean harming one would harm them all? Maybe. I don't know. We don't know the specifics of how all these Vegapunks are connected and yet not connected at the same time. Since Vegapunk knows that his life is in danger, he's about to open up a can of worms to the Straw Hats. Ooh, he really is. There's nothing to keep... Since if he feels like his life is coming to an end, there's nothing to keep him from just letting everyone know, hey, this is what's going on. Tell the world or stuff like that. He literally has nothing to lose. Wouldn't it be interesting if there's a Buggy Seraphim Pacifista that proves Buggy's weak because Buggy's bad at being Buggy? Still wondering if there are multiple Seraphim of the same warlords. We don't know. But apparently they're mad expensive, because it's enough to get Lilith all hot and bothered after seeing when she goes, do you have any idea how much a single Seraphim costs to twist your heads off? Seeing as how they could potentially be damaged by Frankie's Radical Beam, we don't even know how expensive these Seraphim Pacifista actually are. Or maybe it would be even more funny if they do a clone of him, but the clone being actually useful, unlike the original. That would be something. This one version of Buggy is actually stronger and more powerful than the current Buggy. Imagine that Buggy running into the OG Buggy, and then the crew of Buggy looking at that one and wondering, hey, this Buggy actually wants to fight, and this one doesn't want to fight at all. Let's fight him! Captain Buggy! Imagine the comedy of Buggy getting shown up by his own Pacifista. His own Seraphim. Imagine that. But I'm sorry, I'm still not going to drop this whole thing about all the technology, all the future advancements that we've seen people use during the entire course of One Piece is the fact that it comes from the Void Century. Like, here's a short summary. As Caribou prepares to leave the Thousand Sunny, Sanji's group learns more about how the island's power source. I feel like they really need to work on this short summary. They're going to work on it. But after Lilith leaves, they are confronted by a seraphim resembling Jinbei. This confusion quickly turns into a battle as it uses the ability similar to what Frankie faced before from Senor Pink to dodge their attacks, with both Lilith and Edison observing the battle. Shaka then arrived to stop the battle. As he explains, the origin of the technology on Egghead originally came from the Void Century. Luffy's group encounters an ancient giant robot. And the robot itself is almost as big as the Vega Force 1 that Frankie has been so hyped about. All the future technology in One Piece comes from the Void Century. All of it comes from the Void Century. Just how powerful was the Void Century for all of their technology to still be used today and still seem like it's 500 years ahead of the current civilization? Grant, that's actually a really good thing. That's actually a really good question. The real question is how such an advanced civilization was destroyed. How? For all this tech that is beyond human comprehension, except for people like Vegapunk, that the world sees as impossible, and 500 years ahead of where the world currently is. How did this entire kingdom get completely wiped out? And then the world government erased all history about it. How does something that was capable of creating mechanized beasts, introduce cloning, technological advancements like laser weapons, human experimentation, and being able to create seraphim? Literally everything's advanced we know from the pacifistas, the seraphim, is from the Void Century. Like, the concepts and stuff and technologies created comes from the Void Century. Vegapunk is a fraud? No, he's not a fraud, because he's the only one smart enough to actually replicate the stuff that comes from the Void Century. He's just trying to replicate what came from them. So he's not a fraud. He's just smart enough to actually be able to be the only person who can do that. Power scaling detail, Frankie's radical beam beats out Diable Jamba kick. I think that was Ifrit Jamba. But I pulled up the Void Century right here. So what we know about the Void Century is, the Void Century is a century-long gap in recorded and archaeological history, the study of which is forbidden by the world government. The events of this period are so important and relevant that by learning them, one is said to become aware of the true history of the world. These events occurred 800 to 900 years before the current storyline. It was hinted at during the Skypiea arc. The dates were seen in Robin's flashback. So, this period became known as the Void Century because there is nothing left to acknowledge anything that happened in it. But now, we pretty much have the confirmation that every single technological advancement in One Piece comes from the Void Century, and that's the last vestiges of it. The period became known as the Void Century because there is nothing left to acknowledge anything that happened in it, aside from the poneglyphs, which are written in a language that only 2 living people know how to read. Robin is one of these people. However, it causes a problem with the known histories of the world, as nothing ties up because of that missing period. Though many seem to know there is a gap in the historical record, virtually everyone is unaware that filling in this gap is possible. For example, Nefertari Cobra, after being told by Nico Robin about this missing period, was completely shocked that a way to tie the threads of history together existed. So the world government has pretty much gaslit tons of people into thinking that there's no possible way for anyone to ever be able to piece this bit of history together. The fact that filling the gap is possible was proven when Dark King Silvers Rayleigh revealed that the Roger pirates discovered the true history. So, it's completely possible. The true history of the world apparently contains secrets so dangerous that those who are aware of them, including outlaws, are highly reluctant to talk about them. Because they could, you know how Law said that I'm pretty sure that D will turn, it will draw up a storm again, or will flip this world upside down. Like, Roger said that when he first met Rayleigh, when he says, like, how would you like to flip the world upside down with me? What is known about the Void Century is so powerful that it could change the course of One Piece's entire history as we know it. The Roger Pirates and Edward Newgate did not reveal to the public what lies hidden at Laugh Tale, and Kozuki Oden did not reveal to his followers the true history because he considered it a burden. Silvers Rayleigh offered to tell the true history to Nico Robin, but warned her that the way she was then, she would not be able to do anything about it. And then we have like a little info about the Great War. The most important event during the Void Century has to be the Great War. It ended around 722 with the fall of Shandora. And then it cuts to the moon. In Enel's cover story, there's an ancient city on the moon with another bunch of identical automata. There is a painting on the wall that shows a Skypian with automata following him on the left while a Shandorian and Birkin work on the right. After resources on the moon ran out, the three races departed for the Blue Star. One of the three races, the Shandorians, ended up on the island of Jaya, where they built the city of Shandora 1,000 years ago. The great city of Shandora collapsed during this war. The Shandorians defended the city against those who seek the stone. The city collapsed, but the Shandia, who are the descendants of the Shandorians, kept on defending the city for over 800 years afterwards. All three races are noted to have wings on their back, though each have a slightly different shape and may have even once been the same race. The connection between the Sky Island of Skypiea and the Void Century is the poneglyph left there for the Shandia and the Shandorans before them to protect. Then we have the Great Kingdom. The Great Kingdom. The Great Kingdom was a great and powerful kingdom that was destroyed by the 20 kingdoms, who would then later evolve into the world government. The kingdom was so powerful that its existence posed a great threat to the world, and is the reason why studying the poneglyphs is outlawed. In the Great Kingdom's illustration, a few moon craters are shown, indicating a possible connection of it with the kingdom. The Great Kingdom had a name, which is yet to be revealed. However, Clover stated that its name was of the tremendous importance and held the key of understanding the Void Century. I feel like we're about to massively learn. We're about to massively learn so much about One Piece with these chapters. And we're not going on break. Instead of being 500 years ahead, they are 900 years behind. Crazy. That's the crazy thing! Humanity, with the technologies of Vegapunk, they're not, his inventions are not 500 years ahead, they're 900 years behind. This is so much to process. All the technologies we see in the world of One Piece are 900 years behind the current storyline. So what you think is futuristic is actually centuries upon centuries old. That kingdom's name was tremendously important. I welcome you to our kingdom. Tremendously important. But wow, this is the reason why I love reading up on this stuff, because it's like the technology of One Piece is 900 years behind. Like it's crazy. The Great Kingdom had a name, which is yet to be revealed. However, Clover stated that its name was of tremendous importance and held the key of understanding the Void Century. And you want to know what also involves the Void Century? Joy Boy, which is right here. Joy Boy arrived at Fishman Island and made a certain deal with Poseidon involving a colossal ship named Noah. Part of their deal involved the raising of Noah with Poseidon's aid, but for some unknown reasons, he failed to keep his part of the promise. He wrote his apology on the poneglyph in the Sea Forest. The Fishman Island continues to keep Noah until the appointed time comes. Joy Boy also left behind a certain item of unimaginable value in the last island of the Grand Line, which is the One Piece. According to Whitebeard, the world will be shocked to its core when it's found. Oh my goodness, just talking about this just gets me so hyped for what Oda's preparing to show us. Once Kozuki Oden learned about the events of the Void Century, he reached the conclusion that Wano country should be open to the world before the day Joy Boy returns. Then we got the Tontada Kingdom and the Lunarians in Wano country. Before the Void Century, the dwarves of the Tontada Kingdom suffered oppression under the ruthless rulers of the island of Dressrosa, the Don Quixote family. However, the dwarves had forgotten what happened during the Void Century. So the Tontadas themselves have been around since the Void Century, but they just can't remember it because it's been so long. Then we got Lunarians. The Lunarians used to live on the Red Line and were seen as gods long before Marie-Joie existed. However, during the Void Century, they were hunted down, and after the Void Century, only one is known to be alive: King. Why and how they were overthrown or their role in the Void Century remains unknown. It's like all the things we learned in Wano, and all these things that we're learning right now, things are being pieced together, and yet we still have no idea. Wano country. Wano likely played an important role in the Void Century and was somehow affiliated to the Great Kingdom, as the Kozuki family invented the poneglyphs and Pluton. One of the ancient weapons currently rests within the country's depths. The ancient country, and now I'm not saying that they invented poneglyphs and Pluton, but the Kozuki family comes from the Void. They've existed since the Void Century, and they created the poneglyphs. And Pluton, one of the ancient weapons, currently rests within the country's depths. The ancient country of Wano that existed at the time was also much different from the one that exists currently, having been more similar to a standard island at sea level instead of the unique water bowl mountain structure it now displays. During his visit to Laugh-Tale, Kozuki Oden learned that the country was once connected with the rest of the world, but adopted a policy of isolationism to protect itself from a great enemy, leading to massive walls being erected around the country. According to Oden, it is essential for the world to reconnect with Wano. Thus, its borders must open before Joy Boy returns. Doing so would also mean unleashing Pluton once more. However, the people of Wano seem to be oblivious of why their country is isolated and what happened during the Void Century, despite the fact that the world government cannot enforce the prohibition of research in the country. Most people in Wano do not know of what lies in the outside world in the first place due to it being a crime to leave the country. Here's the thing. This thing is long. This thing is long. We know that the Throne Wars will shake the world, the manga and anime world, that is. Yeah, it will. It will. We are not ready for what we're about to learn about the Void Century, because then it's just going to open our eyes. Our eyes will open, like, grant us eyes, grant us eyes. It's Robot Wars, but with thrones, semi-autonomous chair, punch fighting in an octagon. Why else would chairs like thrones have arms if not for punching? You say you're ready, Abir, but I don't think we are. The legacy of the war. Birth of the world government. 800 years ago, at the end of the Void Century, the world government was born and took political control of the entire world, uniting all countries, and forming the Council of Kings. For the world government, the events of the Void Century were better off left unknown, as information linked to it is considered far too dangerous, and it would probably put the world government in a precarious position and cause them to lose complete favor of the entire world itself. That's how I feel. If people were to learn about the events of the Void Century, it would undermine everything that the world government has been trying to enforce all this time, specifically Im-sama and the Gorosei. Because the Navy is just being strung along by the Gorosei and Im-sama at this point. They know nothing. The Gorosei do, and so does Im-sama. So it would really just undermine the 5 elders and Im-sama himself. It would ruin everything that they worked to do towards ruling the entire world. It would probably even undermine the celestial dragons as well. Because they live without a care in the world. They know absolutely nothing. They just know that they're gods who can live the best life. But this information about the Void Century is so detrimental to the world government itself, it could just cause the entire foundation they were built on to just come out from underneath them. That thing is still above on my roof. I got to figure out how to get it. When the research of the poneglyphs was outlawed, hundreds of scholars across the world were killed instantly. They were hunted down to make sure no one could even learn about it. Since then, a very strict ban on any research at all related to the Void Century has been put in place. At the end of the Void Century, the 20 kingdoms came together to defeat the Ancient Kingdom and then found what is now known as the world government. The founding members pledged the equality between their kingdoms in front of the empty throne, which they didn't know was actually being sat on by someone. So all these countries, and not only that, it could possibly reveal that there has been a king, a literal person who rules over the entire world and who sits on the empty throne, despite all these countries pledging equality and fealty to it. So it would not only undermine the world government and the Gorosei, but it will also make it so that the countries themselves, who pledge themselves to the world government, it would undermine everything that they stood for. It's scary. The founding members pledged the equality between their kingdoms in front of the empty throne, with each kingdom leaving a weapon of their own next to the throne in order to symbolize its protection. The exact process of how it was founded and how they covered up the 100-year gap remains unknown. Then we got poneglyphs. Poneglyphs are mysterious stone blocks with history inscribed onto them, and these blocks are scattered all over the Grand Line. The government has forbidden anyone to research or study these blocks. They have been said to be unbreakable by Professor Clover. They're pretty much indestructible. But people who are able to carve things into indestructible rock and leave the history of the world in it? Because here's the thing. If the world government was capable of destroying the poneglyphs, they wouldn't outlaw them, they just find them and destroy them. But because they're indestructible and the world government has no way of destroying them, they outlaw any research into them whatsoever. Because if the world government had their way, they'd destroy every poneglyph. Because it's too telling. And the only people who can actually really read it are like people from the Kozuki clan, like Kozuki Sukiyaki and Robin. They're the only ones who can currently read it, and only time will tell if Sukiyaki will teach Momonosuke how to read poneglyphs and how to inscribe them. But the fact that the world government can't destroy them means that they have no choice but to just straight out outlaw it and make it so that it's an act punishable by death. Because it's just that dangerous. They have no choice because they can't do anything about these poneglyphs. You can't move it. Well, I think you can move it because how did Big Mom have like several poneglyphs just sitting inside of her treasure room? So it can be moved, but you just can't destroy it. It's amazing how much we know about the Void Century without actually knowing anything. Yes, we're really gonna get Void Century and Devil Fruit lore in the same arc. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? First off, we're getting Vegapunk during this whole arc. And then we could potentially be getting what devil fruits are and information about the Void Century. Not only that, we're not going on break from this chapter. I hope I don't feel like I'm blinking inconsistently. It just feels like there's something right on my eye. But to think that we would be getting information about Vegapunk, the Void Century, and maybe some information about Devil Fruits as a whole, this could be the biggest exposition arc we ever get in One Piece. Possibly the most important one that we get. So going back to the Void Century, Ancient weapons. The ancient weapons are 3 weapons of mass destruction that are powerful enough to bring ruin to the entire world. They're known as Pluton, an ancient battleship capable of massive destruction; Poseidon, a mermaid with the ability to communicate with and control sea kings; and Uranus, the properties of which remain unknown. The ancient weapons are the argument used by the world government to forbid the research of the missing years. And then here's a little bit of trivia here. Gold D. Rogers' crew appears to have followed the poneglyphs all the way and figured out exactly what the missing history is. When queried by Nico Robin on the Void Century and the Will of D, Silvers Rayleigh replied to her that he would tell her the history if she wanted to know. At the same time, he appeared reluctant to even speak about it. He warned her that if she found out now about the history in her current condition, she would not be able to do a thing about it. In his closing statement, he explained that he believed his crew and the scholars of Ohara had been too hasty. At the same time, he encouraged her to see the world herself so she might come to a different conclusion than the one his crew had. Whitebeard also knew about the truth behind the Void Century and the Will of D, as Roger told him before he died. He told Blackbeard that he is not the one Roger was waiting for, and that just as Roger's will was inherited by others, so will Ace's be too. Even though their bloodline is dead, their flames will never die, and there will be a man who will find the truth and carry the burden of the centuries upon his back to challenge the world. He further states that the people in the world government are living in fear of the day when that happens and a great battle will be fought. Another great war! Kozuki Toki was born during this time period, but it is unknown if she knew any history around that time. So much. Big Mom and Kaido were truly the gatekeepers of the One Piece universe, since they each had 1 road poneglyph and 2 regular poneglyphs. Wow. There is so much that we're learning and yet still haven't learned over the course of these chapters. I'm surprised. Wow, I've been doing this for an hour. I gotta move on to My Hero Academia and Jujutsu, but we're not ready to learn about the Void Century and what it means for the entire world and literally every person in it. That information, that's coveted. That is classified. That's colored, painted over with black ink, permanent black ink that can't be removed. That is beyond redacted. And this is the most vital secret in all of One Piece. And we could be learning about it soon. Because Shaka is already putting in the heads of someone like Frankie, who's curious enough as it is, like, this place is the past. This place is 900 years in the past. It's not that it's like Karma said, it's not that Vegapunk stuff is 500 years ahead. It's 900 years behind. Like, just think about that for a moment. Every technological advancement that Vegapunk has made in the current timeline, in the current story, is stuff that he's tried his best to replicate from 900 years ago. So when I say Frankie is using Vegapunk's old stuff, Vegapunk is using the Void Century's old stuff. All his stuff. It's not that he's advanced, it's just that the Void Century was advanced, and he's trying to replicate it as best he can. I still can't believe that all this stuff we're seeing that's on Vegapunk's island right now, on Egghead, is technology that has been made already from 900 years ago. I don't know what to make of this chapter. This is not something that I was expecting to see. I was not expecting to see information like this. But this chapter was amazing. Wow. And we're not going on break? You would think this seems like a break chapter. Like seeing Luffy and company sitting in front of an old, ancient, centuries-old robot from the Void Century, from 900 years ago. You would think that this would be a chapter worth going on break for. But we're not. So Vegapunk is actually Senku? Yes. Yes. This is One Piece's Dr. Stone moment. I'm done. I gotta process all this. I gotta process all of this. I have to process all of this. We're gonna move on to My Hero Academia and then Jujutsu afterwards. And then I'm just gonna rest because this is something. I think this is the end of the volume. Where's Japan at in volumes for One Piece? Because we haven't got volume 101 yet. Speaking of volumes, I got that missing fourth volume and fourth volume that I said was out of stock from Right Stuff. They had it in stock, and I got my 3 final volumes of One Piece heading towards me right now. And then I'll have all of One Piece. All of One Piece. But I gotta stop. I have to stop. To think that we be getting so close to information about the Void Century just from one sentence. And the Straw Hats are about not just Robin, but all of the Straw Hats are about to learn about it. 105 and the abs recently came out for and the SBS recently came out for the for 104. Interesting. I'll probably have to look into it later, but I gotta take a moment. I gotta drink some water, and I gotta think about this. I'm done, ladies and gentlemen. I could talk about the Void Century all day, but I'd pretty much just be reiterating everything I've said this past hour and 8 minutes. But oh my goodness, this is amazing. Oda is giving us everything. Oda's ready to give us the rest of One Piece. Just think about that. He's ready to give us the rest of One Piece. And none of us are prepared. I'm happy. I'm done. All I can say, I really do need to get some water, though, because just trying to think about all this is making me kind of woozy. Wow. Whew. All I can say at the end of the day is, this was a fantastic chapter. And I'm glad I was able to read it for you guys with my voices and everything, but just my overall reactions. All I can say at the end of the day is, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then like, subscribe, and maybe even consider becoming a member, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day, and once again, as always, later, peoples. Oh no, I can't just fully rest yet, Ozzy. I still gotta do My Hero Academia. Just one click chug, and then I'm back at it again.